Good evening. This is community activist Teddy Parham, and I have some things that I want to talk to you this evening about. I found this beautiful place, and Mr. Panaflex Lewis is doing the recording for me. This evening, I want to talk to you about the importance of knowing about lead poisoning in your children. This brochure I got a while ago from the Environmental Protection Agency, and there are a lot of things about lead poisoning that you all don't know about. So many of you all have children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and your children are being killed. Your children are being poisoned. So I'm going to start reading this pamphlet, and you can contact the EPA on the internet and contact them, and they would tell you how to make your children lead free. You see, lead is in your soil that comes from the old houses with the paint. Lead can be in your pipes that your water run through, and lead can be in the silverware that you use. And I'm going to explain this to you. Lead poisoning in children causes mental retardation, hyperactivity, ADHD, and a lot of other things that the City of Richmond Public Health Department is not telling you. So I want to start reading this now. Lead awareness in your children. About 1 in 22 children in America have high levels of lead in their blood, according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. You may have lead around your building without knowing it because you can't see it, taste it, or smell lead. You may have lead in the dust, paint, or soil in or around your home, or in your drinking water or food. Because it does not break down naturally, lead can remain a problem until it is removed. Because before we knew how harmful it could be, lead was always used in paint, gasoline, water pipes, and many other products. Now that we know the dangers of lead, house paint is almost lead-free. Leaded gasoline has been phased out, and household plumbing is no longer made with the lead materials. How lead affects your children's health. The long-term effects of lead in a child can be severe. They include learning disabilities, ceased growth, hyperactivity, impaired hearing, ADHD, and even brain damage. If caught early, these effects can be limited by producing exposures to lead or by medical treatment. If you are pregnant, avoid exposing yourself to lead. Lead can pass through your body to your baby. The good news is that there are simple things that you can do to protect your family. Get your child tested. Even children who appear healthy may have high levels of lead. You can't tell if a child has lead poisoning unless you have him or her tested. A blood test only takes 10 minutes, and results should be ready within a week. Blood tests are usually recommended for children at ages 1 and 2. Children or other family members who have been exposed to high levels of lead. Children who should be tested under the state, state, or a local screening plan. To find out where to have your child tested, call your doctor or local health department. They can explain what the test results mean, and if more testing needed, then give it to your children. Let's keep it clean. Ordinary dust and dirt may contain lead. Children can swallow lead or breathe lead-contaminated dust if they play in dust or dirt in the yard and then put their fingers or toys in their mouths, or if they eat without washing their little hands first. Number 1, keep the area where your children play as dust-free and clean as possible. Number 2, wash pacifiers and bottles after they fall on the floor. Keep extras handy. Number 3, clean windows, window frames, window sills, and other surfaces weekly. Use a mop or sponge or paper towel with warm water and a general all-purpose cleaner or a cleaner made especially for lead. Reminder: never mix ammonia and bleach products together since they can form a dangerous gas. And I did that long time ago, and it is deadly. It will kill you almost instantly. Thoroughly wash sponges and mop heads after cleaning dusty or dirty areas. Wash toys and stuffed animals regularly. Make sure your children wash their hands before meals, nap time, and bedtime. Number 3, reduce the risk from lead paint. Most homes built before 1960 contain lead paint. Some homes built as recently as 1978 may also contain lead paint. This paint will be on window frames, walls, and outside of your house and other surfaces. Tiny pieces of peeling or chipping paint are dangerous if eaten. Lead paint is in good condition is not usually a problem, except in places where painted surfaces rub together on each other and create dust. For example, when you open a window, the painted surfaces rub against each other. Make sure your child does not chew on anything covered with lead, such as painted window sills, cribs, or playpens. Don't burn painted wood. It may contain lead. Don't remove lead paint yourself. Lead paint is so dangerous that you need a professional to abate it. Families have been poisoned by scraping or sanding lead paint because these activities generate large amounts of lead dust. Lead dust from repair or renovation of older buildings can remain in the building long after the work is completed. Heating paint may release lead into the air. You see a lot of people that restore homes, they like to burn it and scrape it off. That is even more deadly than scraping it or sanding it. Hire a person with special training for correcting lead paint problems to remove lead paint from your home. Someone who knows how to do the work safely and has the proper tools. Don't try to remove lead paint yourself. Other occupants, all occupants, especially children and pregnant women, should leave the building until all work is finished and a thorough cleanup is done. Don't bring lead dust into your home. If you work in construction, demolition, or painting with batteries, or in a radiator repair shop or a lead factory, or if your hobby involves lead, you may unknowingly bring lead into your home on your hands and clothes. You may also be tracking in lead from the soil around your home. Soil very close to homes may be contaminated from lead on the outside of the building. Soil by roads or highways may be contaminated from years of exhaust fumes from cars and trucks that use lead gas. If you work with lead in your job or hobby, change your clothes and shower before you go home. Encourage your children to play in sand or grassy areas instead of dirt, which sticks to little fingers and toys. Try to keep your children from eating dirt and make sure they wash their hands when they come inside. Get lead out of your drinking water. One of the major problems in old homes is they still have lead pipes. Lead pipes run through the water and into your family and your children. A filter will clean most of that lead out. If you get a proper filter from the EPA and you read the instructions, it will tell you whether that filter will filter out lead for you. Most well or city water does not naturally contain lead. Water usually picks up lead inside your home from household plumbing, which is made with lead materials. Boiling the water will not reduce the amount of lead in the water. Bathing is not a problem because lead does not enter the body through the skin. The only way to know if you have lead in your water is to have it tested. Call your local health department or your water supplier to see how to get it tested. If you think your plumbing might have lead in it, use only cold water for drinking, cooking, and making baby formula. Run water for at least 15 to 30 seconds before drinking, especially if you do not use your water for a few hours. Call the EPA Safe Drinking Water Hotline for more information. Number 7, eat right. A child who gets enough iron and calcium will absorb less lead. Foods rich in iron include eggs, lean red meat, and beans. Dairy products are high in calcium. Don't store food in liquid, in lead crystal glassware. You know how grandma has these glasses and they're special and they have lead or gold around the top? They are deadly. They might be trimmed in 14 karat gold, grandma, but they're not good for drinking out of, but they might be nice to look at. If you reuse plastic bags to store or carry food, keep the painting on the outside of the bag. Now I want to talk to you about some things. I have a picture here called Protect Your Children from Lead Poisoning. Number 1, get your child tested for lead poisoning, even if he or she seems healthy. Number 2, clean floors, window frames, window sills, and other surfaces weekly. Use a mop, sponge, or paper towel with warm water and a generous all-purpose cleaner or a cleaner made especially for lead. Number 3, reduce the risk of lead paint. Make sure your child is not chewing on anything covered with lead paint. Don't try to remove lead paint yourself. Number 4. Number 5, don't bring lead dust into your home from work or a hobby. Number 6, have your water tested. If the cold water hasn't been used for more than a few hours, let it run for 15 or 30 seconds before drinking it or cooking with it. Number 7, eat right and don't store food in high lead pottery. Lead poisoning is a serious problem for young children. The younger the child, the greater the risk. For more information, call the National Lead Information Center at 1-800-424-LEAD, L-E-A-D. For EPA Safe Drinking Water Hotline, the number is 1-800-426-4791. And they have a government website is http://www.epa.gov/lead. Now I'm talking to you about this lead poisoning because this is serious. So many of the children today have been diagnosed as being hyper. So many of them have been diagnosed as being ADHD. So many children are on thousands of medications because they have been poisoned from within. Our government officials know that the houses, the old houses like over in Highland Park, these houses, some of them still have lead pipes. There are thousands of homes in the city of Richmond that still have lead paint. I'm going to give you an example. Richmond Redevelopment and Housing, public housing still has lead paint. 75 to 80% of the children that live in public housing have ADHD, have hyperactivity, and the teacher puts them on medications. The nurses put them on medication because they don't fully understand what is going on. Protect your children. They are your seed. Ignorance is no excuse for killing your children. You have to make the first step. And to those that live in public housing, get your children checked. Your children are mentally retarded, but they are being poisoned by this lead from the pipes, from the paint, and you owe it to yourself. You owe it to your children for them to have a normal life without having to take a bunch of medications every day. So, I also have a video online. you can go to, just put my name in the computer address bar, Teddy Parham, and you can find a lot of this information. And I have a couple of people that have gone. They wanted to build a garden. This young man I met recently, I did an interview with him. He wanted to put a garden out. They're vegans. They don't eat meat. So he asked me, he said, Miss Parham, do you think it'll be safe to put a garden out here? And I said to him, test the soil. Test the soil. And don't let the children play in the yard until you test the soil. Sure enough, the lead level was off the roof. The lead level was so high that the laboratory that did the testing for him and his family came over in a hurry and asked him not to let the children play in the yard in the dirt, not to let the pets play in the yard in the dirt, and certainly not to grow a garden. It is not safe for any living thing. And to top it off, his house is covered with old lead siding that is no longer used anymore. So when it rains, that rain washes the lead into the ground and contaminates it even more. He bought the house, his mother bought the house through HP Wrap, and they had lead poisoning. Lead poisoning. They had lead paint in the house. When it was discovered, Ellen Robinson sent a crew over. It took 3 days for them to abate this lead. There is something going on. All of these homes are being sold to people at a phenomenal price, and the realtor and the programs know that this lead is poisonous to their children. So all I'm saying to you, mama and grandmama, get your children tested, have your soil tested. The playgrounds I know in the city of Richmond, a lot of them have toxic lead poison. You see the children running and playing, but you have no idea what they're running and playing in. This is community activist Teddy Parham, over and out, and my message to you is have a good evening and be safe and love your children. Have your children tested. They all are not mentally ill. They are being poisoned from the city schools that sit on the city dumps. All of this methane gas is coming up from the ground. They are being poisoned by carbon monoxide, but the school board leaders won't tell you that because they don't want to be held accountable for it. So before the nurse tells you in the school your child is hyper, your child is this, your child is that, carry your child to a couple of doctors and then you decide. Because 9 times out of 10, guess what? They're responsible for it. Teddy Parham, community activist. You can email me at teddyparham@yahoo.com, and you can go online on my Facebook page, TEDDYPARHAM, and you can put me in the address bar and pull up all the factual information. I only deal in the truth. That's all I want. And I want Dwight Jones, our mayor, to know that I'm coming after you. Over and out. Have a good night.